also, I do have custom videos available. There is a link to my Fiverr account in the description, and again on the channel. Again, this is just for people who have asked previously or are interested in custom videos. The prices on there are based on what I was previously offered by other people and did those videos, and also based on the prices of other people, everyone else's prices on Fiverr. But if you want a custom video and the prices may be too high for you, don't worry, we can still do it. Send me an email or send me a message on Fiverr, and we can sort it. We can work something out. I'm more than happy to lower prices for people, because I just enjoy making the content, really. But yeah, that is it for my little rant. So let's just get into the stories. As always, in the description below is gonna be the links to all of the original posters. The links to the original posters will be in the description. All credit goes to them. But yeah, let's just get into the stories. Okay, so this first one is by aromatic-movie-5289. It's titled, "A Weird Instagram Account Sent Me Gore and Knew My Address. I thought it was a prank at first. I'm still new to Reddit, so still trying to figure out how to add image here to make things more clear. We'll update soon." This is 2 hours old, by the way. It's been a month since this happened and I've finally decided to share it. I haven't told anyone publicly until now, but I think it might help others avoid what I went through. It started as something I thought was a joke. A few months ago, I got followed by a weird-looking Instagram account. Low followers, uncanny profile picture, strange energy. The bio literally said, "I want to kill you, little Lonnie." I figured it was some edgy troll, maybe even one of my friends playing a prank, or just another scam bot. Out of curiosity, I followed it back. I didn't expect much at first. It was casual. Some weird flirty messages. Talk about Kazakhstan, I think. I mentioned that she had an 11-year-old daughter, and eventually she talked about wanting to marry me and flying over. It was surreal. And I was still in this. This is probably just some messed up troll mode. So I played along in a kind of half-serious, half-joking way. I wanted to figure out who was behind it. Then the messages changed. They started sending me disturbing photos. One was a dimly lit, distorted face. The next was a bleeding foot, a real one. I tried to laugh it off with a friend, but deep down it didn't feel funny anymore. Then they sent me my exact real-world address, typed out correct, no mistake. That's when it definitely stopped being funny. I froze, my whole body locked up. I was mid-game with a friend and had to stop. I showed the photos and address to my dad. He told me it was a psychological threat, digital terrorism. He offered to delete the whole chat, but I couldn't. I needed to know who was behind this. I tried OSINT methods. I reverse image searched the profile pic and photos. I tried Instagram's password reset trick to see the email hint, and still got nowhere. I started wondering if this was someone I knew, someone who saw me in real life and decided to mess with me. It messed me up. For a few weeks after that, I couldn't sleep right. Every motorbike sound outside made my heart stop. I stopped posting online. I questioned everyone I met. I kept looking over my shoulder. I was paranoid and hyper-aware of everything. It's been a month now. I haven't talked to them since. I didn't block them right away because I didn't want them to disappear before I figured out who they were, but eventually I did. I still don't know who was behind that account. Maybe they really were from Kazakhstan. Maybe they were someone local using that story as a cover. Maybe it was something else entirely. All I know is don't play with online strangers, even if it starts out like a joke. Don't assume it's harmless just because it feels silly. And if you ever get the feeling that someone is watching, don't ignore it. So let's not meet. That is definitely creepy. I know there's ways that people can just get your address and stuff. So it probably was. Even if, it could be someone they knew, but it also could just be someone online messing with them, because I know that's the thing people can do, isn't it? They can just get your address. I don't know how. I'm not very tech savvy, to be honest, so I won't lie. This next one is by Old-Surround 8610. It's titled, I Almost Got Abducted. Years ago, when iPhones and Ubers weren't a common thing, I almost got abducted. I was a 21-year-old girl living in Austin, Texas. I had just graduated and had no real clue what I was going to do with my life. I didn't want a corporate job like my classmates. I wanted to live and make art for a while. I had visited SXSW while at university in New York and fell in love with the wilderness of Texas. It felt like the opposite of the life I had been living in New York, so I moved to Austin to take a break and recharge. I didn't have a car, but I still wanted to explore. I walked and took the bus everywhere. I barely knew anyone, maybe a handful of people at most. One day, while heading home after exploring the city, it started pouring. Not just rain, but a full-on Texas downpour. I figured it would stop and home wasn't far, so I kept walking. But it got worse. I stepped in a hole and twisted my ankle. When I reached for my phone, I realized it was dead. Now I was soaked, limping and crying in the rain, with no way to call anyone. I made it to a gas station and stood there for a while, unsure of what to do. I hadn't memorized anyone's number, and I didn't feel close enough to anyone to call them anyway. Then a beat-up pickup truck pulled up. The passenger door opened. I couldn't see who was inside, just a deep male voice. Come inside, I'll take you home. I froze. I had always been told never to get in a car with a stranger, but I was desperate. I nodded and started climbing into the truck, still crying. I promise you'll be safe. His face was completely in shadow. I was almost all the way in. I could hear his breath quicken, and I could sense his excitement. Suddenly, I heard a woman shouting from the road. She was leaning out the window of a small, compact car. "Hey, are you okay? Come here now." The urgency in her voice snapped me out of it. I got out of the truck and hobbled towards her. She pulled up right next to me and told me to get in. Unlike him, I could see her face. I trusted her immediately. She was kind and asked where I lived. I told her and she drove me home. Before I got out, she warned me to be careful. She said there were people out there who would love to take advantage of a girl like me. I felt so stupid. Maybe the man in the truck would have taken me home, but deep down I knew he wouldn't have. I could feel it. I never saw her again, but I think about her sometimes. I hope she's thriving. And to the man in the pickup truck, let's not meet. I think that woman saved her life. The guy in the truck seemed far too sketchy, in my opinion. Far too sketchy. I'm glad that everything turned out okay. This next story is by Dortia. It's titled I Almost Got Stabbed by a Homeless Woman. English is not my first language, so there may be spelling mistakes. Maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and I was 16, 17 years old then. I'm from a small village and I went to school in the nearest big city, which was about 40 kilometers away. Because public transport was so bad, just to get home I had to change buses twice, and if I missed the last transfer and my parents weren't home, I had no way to get home unless they came for me, or I had to walk 4 kilometers. I lived in a dormitory during the week in the city where I studied. I stayed in the city during the week and went home on Fridays, then back again on Sundays. I always got off the bus at a main station when I arrived in the city, around 2 p.m. My boyfriend, who came from another town, also studied in the city. He came by train. Every Sunday I waited for him at the station for about an hour and a half, and then we went to the dormitory together. That day was no different. I was waiting for him, sitting upstairs at the station, in a spot where I could see the entire ground floor from above. I had my headphones in and I was on my phone, just sitting there. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a homeless woman wandering around. She sometimes stood still and looked around, but I didn't pay much attention. There are a lot of homeless people in that area. Time passed and I was still sitting, headphones on, phone in hand. Then I saw the homeless woman start walking in my direction. I still didn't think much of it when she was about a few feet away from me. I noticed she was talking to other people who were sitting nearby, probably asking for money. A few moments later, she started walking toward me again. I saw her, but I didn't lift my head. Then she stopped in front of me. That's when I looked up. She just stared at me. Her eyes looked like she was high on something, and she was slightly swaying. She was dirty, honestly disgusting to look at. Some green liquid was dripping from the corner of her mouth, and her face was dirty. She wore a thick coat, grey pants, black boots. saw her lips moving. She was talking to me. I took out my headphones and gave her my attention. I'm not a rude person, and I always try to speak kindly to people. But when I removed my headphones, she went silent. She just stared at me. "What? Could you say that again?" I asked her. Then she spoke again, but I didn't understand a single word. It was just mumbling. She stared at me with those glassy eyes. I shook my head. "I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying," I told her and looked at her. At this point, I felt my heart beat faster. I got scared. I didn't know what she wanted, and something about her made me really uncomfortable. She started mumbling again, and while she mumbled, she began searching for something in her coat pocket with her right hand. I looked down at her hand to see what she was doing or what she wanted from me. At this point, I thought maybe she needed help with something. I looked back up into her eyes and waited to see what was going to happen. Then I saw her pull her hand out of her coat, and I looked down at her hand again. She was still mumbling, and I saw a piece of glass in her hand. She slowly slid it up under her coat to her forearm, holding the sharp end in her palm. It was pretty big, sharp, probably around 15 centimeters or 6 inches. That's when I realized something was very wrong. My eyes widened. I was scared. I asked her one last time, a bit more irritated now. "What do you want from me?" I knew there were people around me. It was a train station in broad daylight, so I didn't think she would actually do anything. Well, suddenly she stepped toward me and pushed the glass towards my neck. I reacted immediately. I jumped up in time, pushed her away and yelled at her, "What the fuck are you doing?" She started mumbling angrily. I had no idea what she was saying. My whole body was shaking and I was terrified. I grabbed my travel bag quickly, all while keeping my eyes on her. She was still mumbling angrily, holding the glass shard in front of her, staring at me. "Leave me alone. Go to hell," I shouted at her again, and as I rushed off, I saw that everyone at the station was now watching us. I ran outside the station and saw some police officers nearby. I felt relieved. I walked towards them, but I didn't say anything. I knew that if I told them, they'd probably just tell her to leave, and that would be it. So I just stayed close to them. A few moments later, I saw the woman come outside too. She was walking in my direction, angrily looking at me. I didn't see the glass in her hand anymore. I grabbed my bag and walked to a different part of the station courtyard where she couldn't see me. I was trembling, scared, and in shock. I never saw her again. A bit later, my boyfriend arrived and I told him what happened. He was surprised and worried too. He told me never to wait for him at the station again, and I didn't. From that point on, I always waited for him at the door. Even now, every time I go to that station, which is rare, I get anxious and stay alert. I still live in that city now, even after finishing school, and I'm still with my boyfriend. We live together. Just knowing what could have happened there if I hadn't reacted in time, or if I had just ignored her, it still scares me. So, to the homeless woman, who might not even be alive anymore, if you are, let's not meet again. That is really scary. And she probably was. was high on something, and if she wasn't, then she probably had some kind of like mental issues, so that's really scary. That could have went really, really badly. It's a good thing that the OB reacted in time. It's a really good thing. Really good thing. Okay, this next story is about unicorns and rainbows. Why I'm glad deadbolts are a thing. This happened about a year or so ago, but I just read something fairly similar and it reminded me of how it still gives me the chills. I have 3 kids who were around 9, 7 and 2 at the time, and also living with my husband. We live fairly rural in the UK, just on the outside of a small village. Every night I always check the door is locked, and sometimes even the chain put across as well. That night I was woken up very abruptly by a very harsh banging on the front door. At first I thought it was just someone drunk thinking it was their house, but they started trying to turn the handle. My husband went near to the door, and I stood on the stairs with my phone in case I needed to call someone. My husband told the man he had kids in here and that they were sleeping and to go away. The man started rambling and slightly slurring. It wasn't extreme slurring, but his voice wasn't quite right. Seemed clear he was either on something or mentally unwell. He kept asking for a certain woman's name, and my husband told him that there was no woman with that name here. The man kept saying we were hiding her and he was coming in. During this period, there was a lot of very strange sounds coming from behind the door. Thumping, scratching, and another sound I couldn't quite place. There's a few typos. My husband then told him that I had called the police. He did a few more frantic thumps, then left, because we heard nothing else. We heard nothing else like him attempting this with the neighbours either. For a few hours I waited in case he came back. I had a tennis racket I'd have used if I had to. Luckily it didn't come to that. In the morning, as it was a weekend day, I decided to check outside, and honestly I did feel a little ill. There was a massive dent in the door which I thought surely a fist alone wouldn't have caused. Then on the door and the panels near the door were fingernail marks and blood. It wasn't a massive amount, but enough that it needed to be washed off. Between the door and where the bins were, there was a smashed ashtray, also with blood on it, and in lots of pieces. One of the outdoor plants had also been tipped out, so there was plant and soil all over the floor. My best guess is he tried to smash the door with the ashtray and cut himself, but that's merely his speculation. My blood ran cold how clearly aggressive this man was, and we have absolutely no reason to be targeted. We told our neighbours, who were absolutely horrified. They said they thought they heard something, but thought it was a drunk. When we mentioned the woman's name, the neighbour said, "Oh God, that's last." Few doors down from us, who used to live where we do. She used to be into drugs and a few shady people, and the neighbour reckons maybe one of her old drug-taking companions was searching for her. Even now that we have been... One second. Even now there have been a few incidents in her house where police have been called, but I'm not alarms fitted, so at least now a button goes straight to a security system that if you don't answer will send authorities. It didn't end in danger, but it so easily could have, and that's scary as hell. So seriously, she doesn't live here and you're absolutely insane. Door knocking guy, please let's not meet. That's really creepy. I'm glad that he gave up and left. I would not want to deal with that type of confrontation. Okay, this is gonna be the last story for tonight. It's by Knife with an 8 in the word. It's titled A Home Invasion in the 70s, Narrowly Avoided. I need to start off by saying this story was told to me by my grandmother. She is someone who has a crazy amount of factual recall and can tell a story from 50 years ago, like it happened last week. I realize this story, having not happened to me, violates rule number 5. But hopefully the mods can give me a pass on this one. This story takes place in the late 1970s in the metropolitan Detroit area, in what was the boonies at the time. They were on a dirt road that was mostly fields, woods, and a couple farms a mile or so to the north. The house sat on 10 acres and was back off the road a ways. Then to the right of them was my great-grandparents' house, which sat about 200 feet away. To the left and to the right of their property was about half a mile of fields and then a main road. My grandparents lived in this house with their 3 children, and my grandpa worked midnight at a local auto plant. One night my grandma is sitting and watching TV. It's around 11 or 12 at this point, and she hears a knock on the front door. She peeks out the front window and can see in the moonlight that there is no car in her driveway or visible anywhere on the street. I have to give her credit for thinking on her feet in this moment. They lived in a tri-level home, which means that the basement is half underground, and the upstairs is not as high up as a regular 2-story house. She went upstairs to their bedroom and opened the window, which was above the front step, and she looks down to see a man standing at the door. She calls down to him and asks what it is that he wants, and he explains that his car broke down up the road and that he walked back here to see if he could use their phone. He explained that he was on the way to his girlfriend's house, which was up the corner. The problem with this story was that where he described his car breaking down, he would have only been a couple 100 yards from his girlfriend's house, but instead of walking there, he walked back down the street half a mile. So she realizes that something isn't adding up and tells the guy. that unfortunately she won't be able to help him. The guy starts to get agitated and is pleading with her to please let him use the phone, and he promises that he will be quick and then be on his way. While she is leaning out of the window and telling this guy that he needs to be on his way, she can suddenly hear fast-moving feet on the gravel driveway, off in the darkness, followed by a crashing noise, as a second man comes flying out from next to the garage and hits the ground. At this point, the man on the porch turns on his heels and sprints off into the night and is gone. She looks back to the driveway to see that this man on the ground moment or two later, the beaten man was able to wrestle himself free and drain the verse by sprinting off into the darkness. What my grandma didn't know while speaking with the guy on the porch was that while their conversation was going on, the man on the porch's accomplice was pressed flat up against the front of the house by the garage. These men were waiting for her to open the door so they could both storm in and do who knows what. Unbeknownst to them, however, was the fact that next door at my great-grandma's house was my cousin who was home visiting. He happened to be sitting up at the kitchen table and saw the two men approach the house, and he saw the one man take up his hiding spot before the other began knocking. He was out the door and ran full speed over and attacked that man that was hiding, and the guy went down like a sack of hammers. A fun fact was that during this time my cousin was a boxing champion in the Naval Pacific Fleet. My grandma called the police, and unfortunately the two men and their vehicle were not found. We do know, however, that one of the men had a receipt of getting his ass kicked because two teeth were found on the ground, which my grandma has as a memento in a little glass bottle to this very day. Okay, the grandma is wild for keeping the teeth. That is hilarious. I love that. I love that. I aspire to be that woman. She's funny. It was really, really good that, the cousin was visiting and he noticed something was up, otherwise that could have went terribly. So yeah, very, very lucky woman to have it happen that way in a family that cares so much. That's really scary. That's really scary. If you are still awake and your eyes are open, you might notice I'm in a different sweatshirt. I was just editing my videos and realised the last